In 2020, I started a couple of portfolios that I had no idea would eventually pave the foundation for what would become the coffee can portfolio. The idea of the coffee can goes back to the Wild West days, where you would put something in a coffee can and then many years or many decades later, you would open the coffee can and see what the value of whatever it was that you put inside. The same idea applies to the stock market. There's a substantial amount of evidence to suggest that people do better investing when they do nothing at all. So the coffee can portfolio is an experiment that I've started back in 2020 by accident, and I've continued that on through 2022. And the question I'm trying to answer is it possible to outperform the S&P 500 by doing nothing at all? And so far, that seems to be the case.
This video is for educational purposes only. It should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. It is not an offer to buy or sell any security. Past performance does not indicate future results. Investing is risky.
Also, I wanted to provide an update for those of you that purchased my valuation course. I did just upload 12 videos on the discounted cash flow method. So that is now available. You should have got an email update, but I wanted to let you know here as well. And then for those of you that would like to sign up, I'll put a link in the description below for how you can get 50% off of that course. Thank you very much for supporting my channel via Patreon, buying the course, and YouTube Premium. It really helps me to continue to make these videos, support the channel, and pay for diapers, which I'm going to be buying a lot of diapers for the next several months. So that really helps out with that. So thank you all very much. Appreciate this community. I've had a blast making these videos.
Now back to the show.
Anytime you are looking at an investment portfolio, it's important to know the context of the returns in the particular year that you're talking about. So for example, in these first couple of portfolios back in April and May of 2022, they both have performed on a nominal basis extremely well, but they also were started at a point when the overall market was very depressed. So just because they have good returns from May 2022 to now doesn't necessarily mean they were value add strategies. It's always important to compare them against a relevant benchmark. So in 2022, the S&P 500 lost total return, including dividends, 18.1%. So any portfolio that did better than negative 18.1% would be considered a success, and anything that did worse would be considered a failure. I'm a fan of the Indianapolis Colts in the NFL, which this year, but anyways, that year I did a dividend stock portfolio draft, and it was kind of themed after the NFL. So I did 32 different dividend stocks, and then I ranked them by shareholder yield, which was kind of my metric for, picking the top #1 overall pick. I think it was an overall terrible video, but I did end up with a portfolio that I put $1,000 in, and I didn't change a single thing. I have not touched it, not one trade, since April 23rd, 2022. So let's take a look at how that portfolio has done. So we're going to start with the year-to-date performance, and this was the best performing coffee can portfolio that I had in year-to-date or 2022. This portfolio was only down 1.66% compared with the market at negative 18%. So this did extraordinarily well. The second coffee can portfolio that I started was in May of 2022. And my intent with this portfolio was to try to discover which of 5 valuation ratios would perform the best. And so I had things like dividend yield, so buying the highest dividend yielding stocks in the S&P 500. I also had shareholder yield, Buffett yield, price to earnings ratio or earnings yield, and then free cash flow yield. And so I made 5 different portfolios, each selecting stocks based upon those different ratios. So what I intended to be a study on valuation kind of turned into this coffee can, because I meant to update this portfolio, but I just forgot to. And since then, it's been kind of more of a coffee can experiment. How would this portfolio do if I never did a single thing to it? Well, so far in 2022, again, looking at the year 2022, this portfolio as a whole, including all 5 of the valuation ratios, was down 15.77%. So again, we see outperformance relative to the S&P 500. So now let's take a look at how these portfolios have done since inception. And we'll start with the original dividend stock draft portfolio from April 23rd, 2022. Over that time period, the S&P 500 index has returned 41.2%. Again, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. You always need to be careful, just saying, oh wow, my portfolio is up 40%. Well, it's not that impressive if it's up 40% since April 23rd, 2020, because that's what the S&P has done. So it's been a good market over this time period. So anything better than 41 would be a success, and anything less would be a failure. And over this time period, the dividend stock portfolio total return with dividends reinvested is up 51.26%. So against the S&P, it's outperformed by about 10%, which if you could sustain that, and I'm not saying this is going to sustain that, if you could sustain that over a long period of time, that would make you an absolute investing legend. So we'll see how this continues to perform over the next couple of years, but so far it's been very impressive. Now let's turn to the second portfolio, which were the Valuation Derby portfolios. Those were started May 4th, 2020. So over this time period, the S&P returned very similar, 41.52%. And overall, those 5 portfolios have returned 56.71%. And within these 5 portfolios, the one that I focus most on for my new coffee can portfolios is the one that focuses on shareholder yield. And that portfolio has done exceptionally well. It is up 72.75 over that time period, again compared with 41% for the S&P 500. So over this time, this portfolio has outperformed the S&P by 31%. I was so interested with how these portfolios had done, so I decided to start this experiment. And if you want to watch the original video, I'll post a link to it up here so you can click on that and watch that before coming back here if you'd like to. But the idea for this portfolio was that I would put in, based on some preset criteria, $1,000 each month and try to see how I could perform relative to the S&P 500 if I just set it and literally forget it over a longer period of time. I ended up modifying that just a little bit based on limitations with M1 Finance. I'm going to start doing it quarterly instead of monthly. So I'm actually due to start a new portfolio here in the next couple of days. But these were the original 2 portfolios. I started one August 1st of 2022, put $1,000 into it, and over this time period, the S&P 500 declined by 6.3%. The original coffee can portfolio, which is here, August of 2022, we can calculate $1,000 divided by 944 minus 1. This number is actually wrong. I had a little bit of an issue with M1, so my stats here for the year are a little off. So the actual performance was negative 5.6, which again is modestly better than the S&P 500. The other portfolio that I started was September 1st, 2022. So September 1st through December 31st, 2022, the S&P lost 2.3%. And this coffee can portfolio has actually increased by 2.1%. So this has definitely been the most impressive of the 2 coffee can portfolios so far. But again, things are very new, so we're going to see how these trend over time. So I'll be continuing to add money to my coffee can portfolio. I'm going to be publishing the actual individual stock purchases for those of you that follow me on Patreon and YouTube Premium. I'll let you know what the individual stock buys are for that. But I'll also be doing an annual update for everyone that subscribes or follows on YouTube. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this experiment? Have you started a coffee can portfolio of your own? If so, it'd be really interesting to hear some of the results that you guys have seen on your own. So put a comment in the comment section if you've done it, how you've done. Of course, you don't have to, but if you'd like to share, I think that'd be really interesting for the community to kind of see more than just my little experiments, if others are doing the same as well. And I hope you all have a fantastic start to 2023. I will see you in the next video.